Hello friends, hello subscribers. A reoccurring guest is here once again with another interesting historical firearm. Introduce Doug yet again for your viewing pleasure. What have you brought for us today, Doug?
I have a very fine example, a clone of a British Infantry Rifle model 1800, and it's commonly called a Baker rifle, and this was in use through the Napoleonic Wars and was in fact issued as late as 1840 to the Royal Canadian Rifle Regiment, and it was a flintlock carbine bore, and when I say carbine bore, it refers to the smaller 62 caliber that it was made in. So it accepts a 615 round ball and shoots it well with a patch. And these rifles were made to take paper cartridges if you were in a hurry, but if you had a leisurely, slow shot, you could be very effective with loose powder and ball. And these rifles were pretty effective out to about 200 yards. You'd be pretty sure of striking a man in the torso. And their rate of twist was quite slow, 1/4 turn in the full length of the barrel, about 1 turn in 8 feet.
Remarkable.
So, but it did stabilize the ball well enough that they were very effective with skirmishers. And if you ever followed the TV series Sharp's Rifles or read the books, the riflemen considered themselves, and they were, an elite unit of skirmishers, and they wore a distinctive green uniform with black buttons, black slings, and it helped them fade into the background. But the Baker rifle, or the model 1800 infantry rifle, was based on German Jaeger designs from the period, and they usually featured a patch box, and I can show it here. It had 2 compartments, and one of them has a deer skin pouch that contains a wiper and a ball puller and a torque bar, and the torque bar passed through the ramrod, so you could, if you loaded a ball with, or a ball without powder, you could pull the ball out of the rifle and get it back into action. It had a large bayonet bar on the near the muzzle on the side of the barrel, and it took a classic Jaeger sword bayonet, and the rifle regiments referred to them as a sword. It is in effect a short sword, but I won't mount it here today, but it mounted on the bar and gave the rifleman the same reach as a soldier equipped with a musket if he got into a bayonet fight.
If you could hold that in front of the camera there for a moment. And
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll pan it back and forth here, and we'll see.
This is the second pattern, and these bayonets were effective as a short sword, and they sort of harken back to the German Jaeger again. German Jaegers always carried a short sword to finish game with, like deer. They, I think the term for the German deer sword was Hirschfänger, and so this certainly has Germanic origins, as did the American rifles. They all had origins in the German provinces. At any rate,
so this rifle was used primarily by infantry?
Yes, but a special regiment of riflemen. One famous British regiment was the 95th Rifles, and then there was a North American recruited regiment called the 60th Rifles. And other units they were issued to in the Napoleonic Wars. The British employed the King's German Legion. They had and they issued these rifles to the KGL, they were known as, King's German Legion. Also, there was some issued to Portuguese units in the Napoleonic Wars. So they saw service in North America, famously at various battles in Battle of New Orleans. I know, for example, they were in use there. Anyway, they were a popular arm in the day, and anybody who was a chosen man was a rifleman who could use this with effect. And they used them with great effect, and there's some interesting stories on the 95th rifles. But again, these were issued into the early 1840s, and they were replaced by the Brunswick rifle, which was a percussion ignition.
Well, it's certainly a beautiful rifle with fine detail. And this was a rifle that was built by a local gunsmith, or no?
This was built by a very dear friend named Don. I won't mention his last name, but he's very, very skillful and pays great attention to detail. And he's one of the few people I've ever known that was able to work wonders both with wood and with metal. He's an all-around gunsmith who can build a rifle from scratch.
It's a unique finish on the metal. What's the story on that?
They browned the barrels. It's just artificially rusted them and polished them and actually protected them from the pitting type rust that occurred in the field. The rifle's fairly easy to clean. It's got cross keys that can be driven out and remove the front sling swivel, and you can. It's a hook breech. You can lift the barrel out of the rifle and to more effectively clean it.
So these little tabs right here.
Yeah, they can be driven out left to right, and it's a hook breech, and you lift the barrel out, and it makes it quite easy to keep it clean. At any rate, yeah, that's my example. I've had 3 originals in my hands before, and one of them had been converted to percussion, regrettably, but that was commonly done when the flintlock system became obsolete.
Well, it's a remarkable example. I greatly appreciate you bringing that in for a brief demonstration of its beauty. Perhaps in another video we can go into greater detail. But for now, well, thank you, Doug, for bringing that in. That's beautiful.
And perhaps we'd even do something on the range with it next spring, perhaps.
That would be lovely. It's something we have to do privately in a away from a Canadian rifle range because of the limits we have filming at ranges in Canada. All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. This is beautiful, Doug. Thank you. And
thank you, Mark.
We'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.